The diamond is heating up, and tensions are boiling over in the big leagues. Chicago Cubs manager Craig Counsell is firing back at Major League Baseball over what he calls a bizarre double standard surrounding the two-way player designation. He is taking aim at the special status afforded to Shohei Ohtani that allows the Los Angeles Dodgers to circumvent standard pitcher roster limits, creating a massive point of contention as the season intensifies.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 mAh power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Does the Los Angeles Dodgers organization hold an unfair advantage over the rest of the league? Critics and fans are debating if Shohei Ohtani is essentially a human cheat code that breaks the balance of fair competition. While some argue that any team could technically replicate this structure, others see it as a loophole that exclusively benefits one of the most powerful franchises in professional sports today. The conversation is spreading fast beyond Chicago as observers weigh in on whether managers like Terry Francona of the Cincinnati Reds should voice their own frustrations. With the Reds set to face off against the Los Angeles Dodgers, the debate over whether the Ohtani rule is logically sound or fundamentally broken is gaining real traction. The question remains why a single player can alter the roster management landscape for an entire league. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, Craig Counsell is tackling the difficult balancing act between nurturing young talent and securing immediate victories. As rising stars like Moises Ballesteros and Matt Shaw prove their worth in high-stakes moments, the Cubs manager is forcing a conversation about whether winning now and developing for the future can truly coexist. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Ever feel like the rules of the game are written for everyone else, but not for the superstar in the room? That is exactly what Cubs manager Craig Counsell is feeling right now, and he is not holding back. With his pitching staff absolutely decimated by injuries, we are talking about guys like Matthew Boyd and Cade Horton sitting on the shelf. Counsell is staring down the barrel of a 13-pitcher roster limit, and he is clearly frustrated. When asked why the league doesn't offer a bit more flexibility for teams in crisis, he did not point to the rulebook. He pointed directly at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Specifically, he took aim at what many are calling the Ohtani Rule. Now, for those who need a refresher, this rule allows a two-way player to bypass the standard pitcher caps, essentially giving the Dodgers an extra roster spot that nobody else in the league can touch. Counsell did not mince words, calling it bizarre, and suggesting it is less about baseball fairness and more about giving the league's biggest star, and the league's biggest payroll, a competitive luxury. It is a fascinating critique because, at its core, it is about competitive balance. While there is undeniably no player in history quite like Shohei Ohtani, Counsell's point is that the league has essentially created a special tier of rules for a single player on a single team. As the Cubs head to Los Angeles to face the Dodgers, they will be prepping for Ohtani as a hitter and a menace on the base paths, but they will be doing it with one hand tied behind their back in terms of bullpen depth. Does this rule make the game more exciting, or does it tip the scales too far in one direction? I want to know what you think. Is it just smart business for MLB to highlight its stars, or is it unfair to every other team fighting for a playoff spot? Drop a comment below, and if you enjoy these deep dives into the behind-the-scenes drama of baseball, make sure to hit that subscribe button. After all, in a game defined by numbers, sometimes the most interesting play happens off the field. Ever feel like the deck is stacked against the rest of the league? If you ask some managers around MLB, they'll tell you the Los Angeles Dodgers aren't just playing by the rules. They're playing in a different league entirely, specifically because of one man, Shohei Ohtani. As if the Dodgers' massive payroll, state-of-the-art analytics, and back-to-back championships weren't enough, critics are now pointing fingers at a so-called bizarre roster rule that gives LA a distinct edge. We're talking about the two-way player designation, which exempts Ohtani from the standard 13-pitcher roster limit. Essentially, it allows the Dodgers to carry an extra arm that other teams simply can't. Chicago Cubs manager Craig Counsell recently sounded off on it, calling it a bizarre double standard that favors just one team. But is it actually unfair? Let's be real for a second. This rule wasn't crafted in a secret meeting at Dodgers Stadium to help LA win. It was built for the unique unicorn that is Shohei Ohtani back when he was an Angel. The rule is available to all 30 teams. The reason nobody else is using it isn't because of some bureaucratic conspiracy. It's because nobody else has a guy who can hit 50 homers, steal 50 bases, and then turn around to dominate on the mound. As Dodgers manager Dave Roberts put it, if you want the advantage, go out and find a player who can do both. It's not the rule that's unfair. It's the fact that Ohtani is simply playing a sport that nobody else has mastered in a century. It's time to stop blaming the rulebook for the brilliance of a generational talent. Do you think the roster rules need an overhaul, or is this just sour grapes from teams that can't keep up? Smash that subscribe button and let me know your take in the comments below. After all, in baseball, you can change the rules, but you can't legislate against greatness. Is Major League Baseball playing favorites, or are we just watching the rise of a super team built on a rulebook loophole? Welcome back to the Reds Relic Report, where we take a long, hard look at the state of the game. Today, we're talking about the Shohei Ohtani Rule and why it's starting to boil the blood of managers across the league. Now, the Reds and Dodgers won't clash until September 2026, but the shadow cast by LA's roster management is already looming large. Craig Counsell of the Cubs recently blasted the league, calling it bizarre that the Dodgers effectively get an extra roster spot that no one else can realistically utilize. And honestly, he's spot on. Let's break this down. The rule allows a two-way player to basically exist outside the standard pitcher count. Sounds fair on paper, right? If you have a guy who hits and pitches, you should be rewarded. But in reality, it's a massive competitive advantage. When the Dodgers have a fresh arm in the pen while every other team is scrambling to option relievers back to AAA just to keep their staff alive, that isn't merit, that's structural bias. And don't get me started on the DH mechanics. While every other team faces the tactical penalty of losing their DH if they shift players around, the Dodgers just keep on rolling. People love to say, well, any team can just go find a two-way player. Really? That's like telling a neighborhood kid he's allowed to drive a Ferrari in a go-kart race, provided he just goes and buys a Ferrari. Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-generation unicorn. There is only one Ohtani, and there is only one team benefiting from this unique loophole. We haven't heard from our skipper, Terry Francona, on this yet, but you don't need to be a genius to guess where he stands. With the Dodgers already leveraging massive deferred contracts and TV windfalls, they certainly don't need the league's help to tip the scales. It's time for MLB to decide. Are we playing a sport, or are we playing by a set of rules designed for a single entity? What do you think? Is the Ohtani rule a stroke of genius, or does it fundamentally break the balance of the league? Drop a comment below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button for more old-school takes on the modern game. After all, if the rules aren't fair for everyone, can we really call it a level playing field? Ever feel like the Chicago Cubs are playing a high-stakes game of chess, while the rest of the league is just playing checkers? Their recent 7-game winning streak isn't just luck, it's a masterclass in roster management. But it comes with a major catch. Craig Counsell isn't sugarcoating the reality of what it takes to build a winner, and his recent comments have sparked a fiery debate about the soul of modern baseball. Tuesday night against the Phillies was a perfect microcosm of the Counsell era. You had Shota Imanaga dealing a gem for 7 innings, rock-solid defense, and that signature bullpen lockdown. But the real headline was the 5th inning. With the bases loaded and the game knotted at 0, Counsell pulled Matt Shaw for Moises Ballesteros. It wasn't a highlight reel blast. It was a gritty, disciplined walk that pushed in the winning run. It was a cold, calculated, and brilliant move, the exact kind that wins pennants. But here is where the friction starts. When asked if these high-potential youngsters like Shaw or Ballesteros can truly reach their ceiling while being shuffled in and out as role players, Counsell didn't mince words. He threw it right back at the media. Do you want to develop players, or do you want to win? When a reporter dared to suggest both, Counsell shut it down with a dose of pure Midwestern reality, comparing that expectation to wanting it to be a perfect 70 degrees and sunny every single day. Counsell's point is brutal but necessary. The MLB isn't a developmental league. It's a production machine where the manager's primary mandate is to secure that W. While fans crave the organic growth of every prospect, Counsell is playing the percentages, betting on players like Ballesteros to thrive in specific, high-leverage platoon roles rather than throwing them into the deep end full-time. It's a calculated risk, but in the cutthroat environment of professional sports, it's the only way to stay relevant. Are you on board with Counsell's winning first philosophy, or do you think he's stunting the growth of the Cubs' next superstars? Drop a comment below and let us know where you stand. If you want more inside looks at Chicago sports, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join our community on Facebook. After all, in a game of inches, you can't afford to miss a single play.